Hi guys, so back with the upgrade update. As you can see, I've finally got up and running my Red Sea Reefer 250. Absolutely over the moon with it. What a good quality tank. For the price point, I was really chuffed with it, and I am really chuffed with it. Yeah, you'd really need to see it in the flesh to see the quality of these tanks, so definitely a thumbs up from me anyway. But so we're finally there. I've had a lot of things to do to get this tank in. I think I remember saying in my last video that I had to put some tiles down on the floor. I don't know if you can see it, that's just the joint there. So my tiler put down the tiles, and I got two 600 by 600. I think I mentioned that in my last update. Can't really see it because it's black on black, but yeah, it's a 600 tile and a cut, and basically you levelled the tiles front and left to right, front to back, left and right, and I tell you what a difference it's made. Such a good idea. Wasn't my idea, it was my friend Billy the tiler's idea, so cheers Billy. Yeah, so there's definitely a good way of rectifying a problem, and like we've got concrete floors in this cottage, and the gripper bar that ran like round the back where the carpet was basically throwing the tank forward like 15 mil off the level, so we just went for it. So basically all I done was rolled back the carpet. I got Billy to put the tiles in, and then obviously that's set, and I just rolled the carpet back and cut the carpet round the edge of the tile, and I just stuck back the carpet gripper with like no nails, gun and nail I think the stuff's called, stuck that on, left it a day, and then basically clipped the carpet back in. So it's a proper professional looking job. I'm quite chuffed with it. I certainly won't be taking carpet laying it up as a profession. I'll stick to doing joinery, thanks very much. But anyway, so that's that. So the tank's in, it's up and running. It's been running for about, I think I started on the 20 something of November, just before my birthday, so that was quite a good birthday present to myself. So sort of equipment, I've went for this tank. I think in my last video I said I was going to use my Radion Gen 2, which was an on-pro. Anyway, decided that just wouldn't be enough light, as I want to sort of go all SPS across the top and then sort of LPS across the bottom. I'm not that keen on softies. They're a bit boring, they're a bit easy. I'm wanting a bit more of a challenge with this tank. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Like I say, we're still in the sort of diatom algae bloom, and it's not really picking it up on this as such. In fact, if I might be able to change its light on the app on my iPad here, if I've still got the app, which I don't, so I can't do that. Right, forget that. So you just can't see it under this blue light that well. But yeah, anyway, so it's quite brown on the rocks. The sand bed was quite covered, but this guy here, the sand sifting conch, geez, oh, he really cleans up the sand bed. Really cleans up the sand bed. So it's still, you can just see there. That's the sort of colour of it. It's like a really light brown colour. So what I've got in here so far, I've got 5 snails, just I think they're just Astrea snails. So sort of they don't really move away from the rock really. There's 5 of them. I've got 2 hermits, dwarf hermits. I think they're red-legged or orange-legged, whatever you want to call them. I've also got the big sand sifting conch, which is there, and there's a smaller one. He's just in the back there. He's a lot smaller, but this guy here, he's absolutely brilliant. He really cleans the sand bed up really well. So I'm hoping this is going to clear in the next few weeks. I'm kind of reluctant to start stocking it with certainly corals anyway, because obviously I don't want this transferring onto the corals itself. So I'm just going to be patient and try and get through this stage. Well, patience, haha. I was in the local fish shop the other day and seen this beautiful Tridacna maxima clam, which I've always wanted one of these. And well, I'm in Dundee, up in Scotland, and there's not really. There's a couple of shops, a couple of fish shops, but the stock levels, yeah, can vary quite a bit. And I've not really seen a maxima in Dundee before, so I sort of saw this and thought, no, I'm having that. But I may well have to move that back into my Aqua Nano, which is still running. Obviously I've not done the transfer as of yet. I'm not going to be transferring everything over from that tank into this tank. I'm going to sell off quite a lot of the corals that I kind of don't want anymore. So yeah, so that's where we're at. So anyway, I went with the XR15 Pros. I was really quite dubious about this. Would they have enough light? Would it have enough depth of impact into the tanks? These tanks are, I think, 500 mil high or 520 mil high, 530 mil high, I think they are. But actually, these are actually only running on 50%, and they really pack a punch. And I'm glad I went with the 2 instead of the 1 Radion. I was sort of swithering just to get an XR30 Pro and obviously have that bang on in the centre. I actually snapped out the bit ready for it, but at the sort of 11th hour I changed my mind and went for these 2, and I'm quite glad I did, because it gives me, I can split, it can get the light clusters apart. It's just exactly the same light, the same cluster, but obviously I can now put the distance between them, and I think each cluster does it 24 inches by 24 inches squared sort of thing. So I mean, it's more than enough for what I'm needing, and I know there's other YouTubers out there that are running the same lights that seem to be getting successful growth with SPS and LPS under these. So I don't really have any issue with these. So that's the tank. That's about, I got 20 kilogram of Picani dry rock. That's not it all in there. I've still got another bit that's probably about the same size as that, but I didn't like the shape of it. I was really lucky. I just got this box of rock from a company called Live Rock UK. Really pleased with it. Really pleased with it. And the Picani is totally full of little like holes that all the wee creatures can get in over time, and fish, and the sort of just all the like copepods and all that sort of stuff that you'll have eventually living in your tank. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So I use the Red Sea Pro Salt, and it's I used the Red Sea Aragonite pink sand as well. I think that's 2 bags in there, which is fine. It's about 1 inch. So yeah, so that's that. I think I could show you this. I currently, yeah, that's a little bit high in there at the moment. I normally run it, my overflow just under that label. There's maybe half an inch under the label. So it's a wee bit high at the moment. But yeah, so I need to adjust that. So I'll take you into the sump. Have a look in the sump, and I'll show you the equipment that I've bought and got running. So, as you'll all know, guys that have this tank, the sump is tiny. There's not much room in it at all. I actually, before I had this tank, I had the TMC 900, and the sump went left to right, but I never actually set it up because there was lots of problems with that tank in the stand. The glass was too thin, the front glass was bowing out. And like, we've not long done this sort of living room up, and I just couldn't handle the thought of coming home to a cracked tank. So I ended up selling that. I didn't even set it up. Bought it. It sat in here for months, and I decided, no, I'm going to sell it. I've seen this other tank, which these tanks are clearly much better than the TMCs. I mean, the front and back panels 12mm. I think the sides are 10 or 8. Very, very, very superior tanks. They really, really are. And everybody with these tanks will definitely agree with that. And the stands are proper sturdy stands. It weighs a good weight itself, and it was easy to put together. Easy for me as I'm a joiner, but it would be easy for most folk. It's like IKEA. It's dead simple. So anyway, getting back to the equipment. So a bit of a sort of long journey with equipment. It was majoritively with the Ecotech Vectra M1 return pump. So I bought that, and you know, these reefers come with just like it's just a flexi pipe. In fact, let me just point this, let you see this a bit better. So it's like a flexi hose that you get with it. I think it's 16 to 22 mil, and the Vectra needs to be piped. It's really designed to be hard plumbed. And when I bought it, I got them to send me up a barb fitting. Now that barb fitting was 25 mil, so there was no way I was getting an internal diameter 16 mil pipe and over a 25 mil nozzle. So I decided to sort of be patient. I'd done a little bit of homework, and I decided, no, I'm going to hard plumb this. So that's what I've done. So I've piped this in 25 mil, and I actually was quite clever about it. But this fitting here that comes with it, this black one here, this one here, that actually comes with a tail hose barb on it from Red Sea. Now that's just screwed in with a bit of PTFE tape. So I took that out, and this is a 3/4 inch fitting going into 25 mil solvent well, so it's really metric to imperial. But I actually wrapped that up with PTFE tape and put the rubber washer that came off the fitting from Red Sea, I put that back on just as a secondary measure, and basically tightened it into that, and it's worked fine. I wish that Red Sea gave you an option and gave you either a hose barb and a fitting like this. I mean, for the matter of a cost of a fitting this bit here that just basically screws onto that, it's pennies, and it gives the user the option of either using it with a flexi pipe or hard plumbing it. You know, the whole sort of ethos of this tank is for the user to do what they want with it. So I would really like to see them in the future starting to supply a hard pipe fitting. It would just make everybody's life so much easier. So that's that. Actually, I might just show you this. I'll just put you down for a minute. Just take the skimmer head off. Now, I just wanted to show you, I switched the skimmer off just to keep the noise down, and I've also got the reactor off. But basically, that's the tank running. The actual pump itself is super duper quiet. I mean, it really, really is. I'll put the light on it here, let you see, get down here. But basically, you can see the Vectra down there, and then I've sort of plumbed it up a little bit into a T, and then into a ball valve to basically supply the water to my phosphate reactor, which is here, and that hangs on the side of the water, the arrow water tank, which I will get to in a minute. And then I come up a little bit more, a couple inches more, and then put another T into another ball valve which runs my carbon reactor. Alright, so use your return pump to do a bit more. I mean, these return pumps are, I think, the 7,500 litres per hour. Now that's loads for this tank. This tank only needs 2,500 litres an hour, so there's plenty of power in that pump. Now these pumps are intelligent in the sense of when you basically set the pump up, and it basically adjusts itself to the tank. So regarding the height of flow, it's basically a calibration sort of thing that you go through on the Ecotech. Now, once you do that, I basically set mine up, calibrated it with these off, and then once it was calibrated, I set this at 33%. That works out about 2,500 litres. And actually, I think it's up a wee bit high, because
you're getting sort of overflowing water coming from the sock there. Now that sock was just changed like a day ago, and you can see it's still sort of flowing over a little bit there. It does drip a little bit, but I could maybe turn it down. But anyway, so when you turn on the ball valves, it compensates for that. So you're not actually taking away from the head pressure. It realises, wait a minute, there's water going somewhere else. I'll adjust the head pressure, and basically it settles out. So you're not actually losing any head pressure by running reactors off of it. So a lot of folks say, no, the return pump should just run the return. If you're going to run reactors, run it separate. But I don't really agree with that. And for me, this is working fine. And I'm glad I done it, because it's less little pumps, like say 750 litres per hour pumps or 1000 litre per hour pumps. It's less pumps to run, you know, and it's also less sockets to be sort of plugging in over here. And as you can see, I've already got loads, and there's still at least another 3 sockets to go, plugs to go in there. So anyway, so that's that. That's the pump I went with. That's the Two Little Fishes reactor. Obviously, you can run anything in that, and that's the D&D H2 Oceans, I think it's called, reactor. It's quite cheap, that one actually. I think that one's a lot cheaper than that one, but there's a lot more space in this one. But I had that anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just use it. I'll just buy a new one. Anyway, so I went with that. I went with the Deltec 1351 DC skimmer, which is good. Very quiet. I shall switch it on, let you hear. It'll rock about. In fact, I'll need to turn that just a little bit. It's very quiet. I've actually got this only running at, I think it's only running on 4. The setting on 4, and I think it goes up to 8. I think it goes up to 8, so it's kind of only running halfway. Yeah, it's only running halfway, because there's not much bioload in the tank. I mean, it is pulling stuff out, and I clean that head, the skimmer head, maybe every day, probably, just to keep it optimal skimming, you know. So that's the skimmer. Pretty pleased with that. Be bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for in this hobby. And there's a lot of stuff out there that you'll buy it, if you don't do your research, you'll buy it and then realise that it's, sorry to swear, but it's shit. And then you end up buying a better one. So I always do my homework, read as much as you can about a product, reviews, etc., before you buy anything. And yeah, go with that. I would definitely say that was good advice. So that's the skimmer, and then I got this biopellet reactor, which is made by AFM, which I will switch that on, let you see. Biopellet reactor, bring the light over and let you see this. So it's basically set up and dedicated for running biopellets, and it's a little bit noisy. It runs is it Sice or CC, their Italian pumps. It was definitely a lot louder when I first bought it. It's definitely quieting down. But the trouble is with this thing, although it is good and it's definitely doing the job towards the nitrates, the way it's made, the way it's constructed, is basically like a plate of acrylic at the back and a plate of acrylic at the front. Now, there's no feet on it, and what happens is that it basically starts moving about the sump, which can get a bit of a pain in the butt. I think what I'm going to do to resolve that is split like air piping, split it with a Stanley knife and like put it over the edge of the acrylic, and that'll maybe dampen down the sound and maybe give it a little bit of grip, maybe not, I don't know. I need to figure something out with that. But that's, I would say, out of all these things running, if I put the skimmer on as well, the noisiest thing is definitely this guy, definitely. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to go with a proper pellet reactor. I know you can use them in these, but I know that these are sort of designed for the sort of the biopellets themselves. So I thought I'll give them a go, give it a go. Maybe in hindsight I maybe wouldn't have bought it. I maybe would have put another ball valve on and ran another one of these. It would certainly be a lot quieter, and it'd be one less plug and less electricity. But you know, a lot of folk get sort of uptight about noise. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fish tank. You know, you're going to get noise from it. I mean, certainly before the days of these reefers, you would have, you know, a noisy overflow. It'd be gurgling like a bath. That would really do my head in. I couldn't handle that. But I can handle a little hum. I mean, with the doors shut, you can barely hear it, to be honest. It works out okay. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with it, quite happy with it. So back in here again, the overflow, the auto top off tank. It's a clever idea, but you're filling this up 4 times a week. I mean, I filled this up the night before last, I think, and it's down to there already. So what, I'm getting quite fed up of it. So what I'm going to do, and there's another YouTuber who I have messaged, and he has messaged me back, and if you see this, thank you very much, sir. He has ingeniously turned this into refugium. Now, I've been trolling the internet for months to see if somebody's turned one into refugium, and I think I found a picture of this I think it was a Reefer 170 that had been turned into refuge, but it was like all propped up with a bit of acrylic, and it just seemed a bit of a Heath Robinson sort of setup. It didn't look like it was very good. So I kind of thought, no, I'll just hold off for just now. But anyway, there's another YouTuber out there, I can't remember his name. He has drilled a bulkhead into here, and he's got like a swan neck thing at the back that basically brings the water in, and obviously he's filled the bottom with, I think it was a sea chem media, I'm not too sure, but I mean, even sand would do. And a couple of bits of live rock, and obviously some cheetomorpha, that would be fine, you know. Spin it around, get it working, get a decent lamp on it. This lamp is not going to be used as a refugium lamp. This is off a wee little beta tank that I had years ago. I'm just using it actually just to light up the sump area, just for maintenance, just to see, because obviously the black unit, you can't see anything. Now that's actually back to another issue. I got my friend to wrap the Reefer sump in white vinyl. I seen it on Ultimate Reef. Some guy done it on there. I thought that's a blooming good idea. So, and you can actually, it's actually quite good because it shows up the detritus that starts, you know, gathering, and you can just hoover it up. Whereas if you didn't have that, you'd really struggle to see that because it's just black. So it's quite a good idea. So I stole that guy's idea, and I'm glad I done that. And also got my mate to put black vinyl on here because it's in a corner. I didn't really want to see the wall. I thought it'd look better, sort of blanking that end off. Right, so that's that. I've set up all my electrics over on this side. Let me just move the lamp on. I've set all my electrics over here. Now the reason why I've done this is because these really aren't designed to be anywhere near water or really any sort of humid areas. So a lot of guys are setting them up sort of over that side and up here, and I was kind of thinking, you know, if that falls off or something like that. So I've decided I'm not putting anything electrical over there. Although that being said, I may well put a shelf here and put my doser. I bought an Aquamedic Reef doser, I think it's called. It's a 4-channel thing, quite cheap, very good quality. I'm maybe going to set it up there, maybe, and I'm going to have that running straight into where the downpipes are coming in, so it's properly mixed before it goes into the sort of reaction chamber. So yeah, I set up in here, I think there are 2 bars of 8. Just got them from B&Q, and the downside definitely of any reef tank is the amount of plugs you need, sockets, cables, the dreaded cables. That's the controller for my DC skimmer, and as you can see, it's just running halfway. Pardon me. I put it up there because I got a young daughter and she'll probably try and push buttons. This has been sort of disconnected, so it's been switched off via the EcoSmart Live. She can't touch this. So I put that up there because it's sort of out of eye view, sort of. So yeah, I've got that. I've also got an MP10 wireless from my last tank. Now I've only had this running for about a year. It's not wanting to focus. Nope, it's not going to focus. But anyway, this was made on May 23rd, 2014, and it stopped working. It stopped working a couple of weeks ago. And what I think it is basically the lights froze on here, and when you go to update it, it goes mental, initiates the update via the Reef link into the EcoSmart Live, but basically crashes halfway through. So what I've done is I've bought the upgrade, the Quiet Drive upgrade box, and that's on its way. That should be here soon, so I'm kind of hoping that works. It's certainly, I think it costs like 80 quid for the upgrade. It's certainly cheaper than me binning this and buying a new one at 230 quid. But this pump is not going to be the main flow in the tank. I think what I'm going to do is go for the Max Spec Gyre or Gear, whatever you want to call it. I think it's the Gyre or Gyre, how the Americans call it. I think I'm going to go for that, and I think I'm going to put it over here so it throws the water over and round and back. Now apparently you can switch one side to flow one way and the other to flow the other way. So I really like the idea of that. I think you get two models. I think I'm going to go for the big boy because I do intend on getting a bigger tank in a few years' time. I don't really want everything to be sort of redundant. I want to try and get as much use out of stuff as possible. So I think what I'll end up doing with this is just putting it in, maybe, I don't know, maybe over the back wall or in this corner, just to create a wee bit more flow. But I certainly don't want to chuck it out. So if I can fix it for 80 quid, I'll fix it. I'm hoping it's that, and if it's not that, it's obviously this, and then that's maybe a different story. I'm not too sure how to approach that. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the update for this tank for just now. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like my videos, comment, I'll comment back. And yeah, thanks for just now. Cheers now, bye.